It seems like a pretty major fire is burning on the streets of Hong Kong right now as we are following some violent clashes which have reignited between police and protesters there. Hours after China's government put on a parade marking 70 years of Communist Party control, riot police used a water cannon truck to deter demonstrators. And according to the New York Times, police say in some instances, protesters hurled fire bombs and attacked them with a corrosive fluid, causing chemical burns. Want to bring in NBC News correspondent Janice Mackey-Frere for us, who's standing by live on the streets of Hong Kong. Appreciate you joining us this morning, Janice, on this. Talk us through what you've been seeing so far this morning.
Well, just an hour ago, this was an all-ages march that was going through the streets. Again, protesters out because this is China's National Day. But you can see that the situation has deteriorated. The protesters had set fires, built barriers. What we're seeing down here now, if you look in the distance, columns of riot police that are now moving through this main commercial district of central Hong Kong, trying to push protesters in all directions. This is what they've been trying to do all day, is to avoid this critical mass of protesters, which inevitably leads to trouble. You can see and hear that they're firing tear gas. They've already set off hundreds of rounds. We've seen beanbag pellets that are small projectiles that are launched as well as a means of dispersing the crowd. If we just look over here too, we can see that the riot police are setting up there. What they're likely trying to do is a strategy that they employed on Sunday, where they tried to hem in the protesters from all sides. And then that's when they will swoop in and they will make arrests. There were at least 150 arrests that were made on Sunday, a sign that they have no tolerance for what protesters have been doing here. This, of course, significant timing, because this is China's National Day. Earlier, there was that huge parade and pageantry in Tiananmen Square, Xi Jinping overseeing that parade, and protesters here vowing they would do everything they could to try to embarrass him on this special occasion.
Hey, Janice, I'm curious to get your thoughts. Obviously, these protests have been going on for weeks with some core demands behind the movement. Are we seeing a different chapter of the protests given the kind of low-level or low-intensity violence that we're seeing play out on the streets behind you? Are we entering a different phase of these demonstrations?
If you look at what has happened over the past 17 straight weekends of protests, we think back to June when there were more than 1 million people in the streets protesting against this extradition bill. It's gone far beyond just that bill now. These are issues that are central to people as part of their identity. They believe that the autonomy of Hong Kong that it has enjoyed is being eroded under the leadership of Xi Jinping, and they feel the tightening grip of China, and they feel they need to do everything they can to resist. They have changed tactics over the course of the summer, and protests inevitably turn violent. We're just going to move back onto the sidewalk here to allow the fire trucks to come through. So what is difficult to understand, though, is whether they still enjoy the broad-based support among Hong Kongers, even though they have been using some tactics that have been questionable. There were hundreds of thousands of people who were out in the streets earlier today, all voicing their support, all rejecting the very communist rule that was being celebrated in Beijing. But increasingly, these protests are becoming more violent. The protesters are trying new and more daring tactics, throwing firebombs, throwing bricks, and in some cases, attempting to charge police officers. The police have 6,000 officers out today. They're going to be working around the clock, and they had been warning of what they said would be a dangerous day. And I think we're starting to see the beginnings of that.
All right, Janice Mackey-Frere, I know you'll keep us up to date as things develop.
Stay safe, Janice.
Appreciate it, Janice. Thank you so much.
All right, still ahead as
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.